This is CBS News Chicago.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dana Kozlov.
And I'm Adrena Sinclair. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We are in weather alert mode, tracking the possibility of storms later today. Our first alert team breaking down the timeline for you and when those storms could hit.
And a 4-year-old boy is in the hospital this morning after being shot in McKinley Park. This morning, we're learning police have 2 people in custody.
And a big day in Springfield connected to the police shooting death of Sonia Massey. The legislation on the table today in her name.
But as we mentioned, we are in weather alert mode, so let's begin with meteorologist Mary Kay Kleist. Mary Kay, when might these storms roll in?
Probably to meet the afternoon and evening rush, Dana and Audrina. Big heat building ahead of that system, though. We're forecasting the 90s across much of our state. 91 for the forecast high here in Chicago, and that would tie the old record set back in 1962. Slightly cooler lakefront North Shore, but otherwise that heat will build on those winds out of the south. So what do we expect today? Storms to build 3 o'clock first west of I-39, then taking shape and targeting Chicago between about 6 and 8 p.m. and then northwest Indiana in the 9 o'clock hour. All hazards are on the table for severe weather, especially damaging winds and large hail. We could see hail the size of golf balls with the strongest cells, and damaging winds could be 70 to even 80 miles per hour. Can't rule out an isolated tornado. I think the flood threat is probably lowest on the scale because of the fast forward speed we expect with these storms. So we build the heat first. We're dry through lunch. It's later on when we start building those storm chances. So the warm front's coming first, and that's going to take us to the 90s. But once that cold front targets Chicago, Audrina and Dana, that's when those storms activate. We'll take a closer look hour by hour in your first alert forecast.
All right, Mary Kay, thank you. We'll see you soon for all those details. And now we start your nonstop news with an update on the shooting of a preschooler. Chicago police now tell us they have 2 people of interest in custody.
That 4-year-old boy is hospitalized this morning in critical condition. Our Jackie Kostek has been following this all morning long, and she is live outside Stroger Hospital. Jackie, any other updates at this point?
Chicago police tell us they now have 2 persons of interest in custody for the shooting of that 4-year-old boy. The 4-year-old boy remains in critical condition after being shot in McKinley Park around 7 o'clock last night. Now, police say it was around 7 that the minivan with a little boy inside was heading south on Ashland near Archer when another vehicle pulled up behind the van. Someone inside that vehicle took out a gun and started shooting into the van. The 4-year-old boy was hit in his back. The 23-year-old man who was driving the minivan was not injured. The family took the boy to UIC Hospital, but he was eventually transferred to Stroger Hospital. That southbound stretch of Ashland was shut down for hours last night as police investigated. Here's what the scene looked like. You can see the beige minivan with damage to the side. And as for a motive in this shooting, we do not know whether the gunman knew the family inside that van or whether they knew or cared that a child was present at the time. But again, police tell us this morning that they do have 2 persons of interest in custody. We don't yet know anything about those 2 people, but as soon as we do, we'll bring you more information both on air and online at cbschicago.com. Jackie Kostek, CBS News, Chicago.
Jackie, thank you. And right now, Chicago police are looking for the man they say is behind a deadly South Side shooting last night. Police say a 20-year-old woman was arguing with a group of women near 78th and Eberhart when a man walked up and shot her in the face before running away. That woman died at the hospital.
4 people were hurt after an SUV hit a Chicago police squad car in Inglewood last night. Police say the officer had his lights and sirens on at the time near 59th and Racine. The woman driving the SUV, 2 children, and the officer were all taken to the hospital. The woman and officer are expected to recover, but no word on the extent of the children's injuries. The woman was cited for having no driver's license or insurance and failing to yield to an emergency vehicle.
A live look now from Springfield, where the father of Sonia Massey will stand alongside state lawmakers this morning, pushing to pass a new bill requiring police officer records be shared before they're hired by a department in the state.
Last year, Massey was shot and killed by former Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson when he responded to her 911 call. Marissa Perlman is live in the newsroom breaking down the bill and where the case stands right now. Good morning, Marissa.
Good morning to you both. Yeah, state lawmakers are set to pass a new law in Sonia Massey's honor. It's looking to reform how law enforcement officers are hired across the state, including digging into their criminal history and their conduct records, too. Now, before Sean Grayson was hired in Sangamon County, questions about his conduct were well documented by other police agencies. But this was never shared with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office during the hiring process. So if this new bill passes and is signed by the governor, everything from police disciplinary records, use of force history, psychological exams, and any previous violations of misconduct while working in law enforcement would have to be shared with a prospective employer. State Representative Cam Buckner introduced this legislation that would require police agencies to conduct these more thorough background checks before making a hire.
It's just sad that we had to have had a tragedy like this with the Sonia Massey murder to realize that we're doing things wrong.
Illinois can be the leader in the whole United States in this common sense legislation. I think that my daughter's life, it won't be in vain.
Now, this comes a day after Illinois Supreme Court heard arguments on whether Grayson should be released from jail while he awaits his October trial. It's unclear when the state Supreme Court could pass a ruling on this. For now, we're live in the newsroom. Marissa Perlman, CBS News Chicago.
Marissa, thank you. Construction crews are back at work on the Bally's Casino site in River West. Our nonstop news crew spotted an excavator tearing down structures at the site. It comes 2 weeks after the Illinois Gaming Board ordered a total work stoppage on the $1.7 billion casino project. The Sun-Times reported it was over use of dumpsters from a company with past ties to organized crime. Casinos are supposed to follow strict rules around the vendors they're authorized to use or risk losing their operating licenses. And we are taking a live look now near the Manhattan courthouse where Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex trafficking trial is again underway.
And his former long-term girlfriend is set to take the stand again for cross-examination. Now, for the past 2 days, Cassandra Ventura, Cassie, she's better known as, detailed what she described as years of physical, sexual, and emotional abuse at the hands of the music mogul. The prosecution alleges that Ventura was one of a number of victims of a criminal enterprise Combs ran using abuse, intimidation, and drugs to coerce people into sex. A criminal defense attorney says this case hinges on consent.
You'll see the defense really try to seize on small, specific issues, like, for example, it was Cassie that paid the escorts, or other things that could imply that she was the one that wanted to engage in this type of behavior.
The defenses maintain that while Combs had violent outbursts at times, he ultimately is not guilty of the charges against him, including sex trafficking and racketeering. Combs has entered a not guilty plea to all charges in this case. And we've learned at least 54 people are dead after multiple airstrikes hit Gaza's southern city of Khan Yunis overnight.
The strikes come as an Israeli blockade of aid into that region has entered its 3rd month. It was the 2nd straight night of heavy bombing and a day after strikes killed at least 70 people. Local officials say that includes almost 24 children. The Israeli military had no immediate comment on the strikes, but Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed earlier this week to escalate the war. Following the strikes, Gaza's health ministry says the only remaining hospital that provides cancer treatment has been taken out of service. Officials say it has severe damage to its infrastructure and roads around it are now blocked. That means all specialized treatments have been put on pause. Israel officials say the strikes are targeting a Hamas command center beneath the hospital. And this comes as President Donald Trump is preparing to head to the United Arab Emirates as he makes his final stop on a 4-day trip to the Middle East. The trip will not include a stop to Israel as he calls for an end to the war there.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in Turkey, and Russian and Ukrainian officials are gearing up for ceasefire talks. Lots to get to. CBS News' Jared Hill has more.
This morning for President Donald Trump, a focus on the money. The president at a business roundtable in Doha after signing agreements with Qatar that the White House says will generate at least $1 trillion.
We are going to protect this country. It's a very special place.
Later, shifting to national security with a visit to a U.S. Central Command air base.
No visit in the Gulf would be complete without stopping to salute the people who keep America safe.
It wraps up the second leg of Trump's Middle East tour, which included a lavish welcome complete with Cybertrucks and camels. Yesterday, President Trump and Qatar's emir watched as Boeing and Qatar Airways signed a deal to buy billions of dollars worth of planes from the American company.
It's the largest order of jets in the history of Boeing. That's pretty good.
FIFA's president stood by as the emir presented President Trump with a soccer ball, with the World Cup moving from Qatar to North America next year. Today, the third and final stop of the president's trip, taking him to the United Arab Emirates. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in Turkey, meeting with his Ukrainian and NATO counterparts to discuss a pathway to peace between Russia and Ukraine.
This war is going to end not through a military solution, but through a diplomatic one.
Representatives from both countries are also there for direct ceasefire negotiations. Jared Hill, CBS News.
And today, the U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments about President Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship. If he gets his way, it would significantly limit the power of federal courts who aim to slow his agenda. The case isn't specifically about the constitutionality of birthright citizenship, but more on whether the administration can enforce orders Trump signed on his first day. Those orders would deny passports and other documents to babies born to non-U.S. citizens. Now, this, as universal injunctions, are blocking numerous Trump policies, including funding freezes and mass layoffs. Trump argues that lower court judges shouldn't have so much power. Meanwhile, the Trump administration has opened another investigation into Northwestern University for alleged discrimination against Jewish students. Northwestern confirms it received a notice from the Department of Health and Human Services. The department had just announced it was investigating a prestigious Midwestern university for possible civil rights violations. The Trump administration has accused Northwestern and other elite universities of failing to protect Jewish students during campus protests last year. The investigation could cost Northwestern federal funding. Well, next, Soldier Field getting ready for Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour. It all starts tonight, and we've got to look at the preps from the stage to the beauty salon.
And we're tracking storms for this evening as well. We'll put a time frame on them. But heat today, it's all about the heat. Record heat, perhaps. 91 is the old record set back in 1962, and that's what we expect. But the Storm Prediction Center has Chicago at a level 3 on a scale of 1 to 5 for severe chances heading into tonight. I'll time it out in your first.
Well, a live look now from Soldier Field, where Beyonce will take the stage tonight for the first night of her Cowboy Carter tour in Chicago. And CBS Skywatch captured this video yesterday as all the crews were there getting the stage set for the performances, which are tonight, Saturday night, and Sunday.
And make sure to glam up, everyone, if you're going, because Beyonce's team chooses a rodeo queen, aka best dressed fan, before the show. There are some last-minute tickets still available. We found a few nosebleed seats for about $100, including fees, but not taxes. Tickets in the 300 level go up to about $250, and some 100 level seats are over $500.
And with just now hours to go until the show, a lot of fans are waking up with some fresh hair, some fresh lashes.
Yeah, that's true. Some may be putting on the final touches, though, today. Our Sade Gray stopped by one beauty shop bustling with concert goers.
The beehive is buzzing inside Key Stylist Salon in Beverly.
So what you wearing? I got a vest.
Myra Payne is going to see Beyonce this Saturday. It's the first time she's ever attended a Beyonce show.
I told myself after the Renaissance tour, when I didn't buy a ticket, that the next concert that she had or the next tour that she went on, I would actually buy a ticket.
So after spending a pretty penny for floor seats, she had to make sure her hair was done just right.
And I knew I wanted to wear a cowboy hat, so I knew that my hair needed to be down. But my hair is natural, so I needed to find some protective style.
She's getting a wig made, and Keisha Levy is making it. Levy says Payne has been a loyal client since 2017. Levy says she knew something was up when her clients asked for last-minute favors.
It's too many people calling to, can you please fit me in? When I get too many, can you fit me in? then I know something's going on in Chicago.
She's normally closed on Wednesday, but opened her doors today specifically for Beyonce fans.
My loyal clients, I had to come in and I had to make sure I was there for them. And it takes no time.
A view from CBS Skywatch shows crews setting up the stage for the first night of Cowboy Carter Tour, which kicks off Thursday night. As crews make final preparations, Levy will be spending her time in Beverly, making sure her clients look their best.
We make sure we come sharp. Everybody in Chicago want to be sharp.
Although Levy won't do Beyonce's hair, she says Beyonce's sign language interpreter will come here this week to get her hair done for Saturday's show. Reporting in Beverly, Sharday Gray, CBS News Chicago.
Thanks to Sharday, and we know there is a chance of rain for tonight's show and possibly some severe storms as well. So let's bring in meteorologist Mary Kay Kleist to talk about that.
All right, so here's the thing. If the ticket says 7 p.m. start time, I'm guessing she won't start until a little after that. And when we get this burst of storms, they would be fast movers. Now, as we look at the model data, we see a level 3 on a scale of 1 to 5 for severe chances. This has been expanded overnight, so it does include much of our viewing area. And we're talking all hazards on the table, especially large hail and damaging winds, chances of a few tornadoes as well. But with the fast forward speed of these, I don't anticipate a big flood event. It's more going to be severe weather. So hour by hour, notice how our models are picking up on that 6 to 8 time frame for the city. And that's also lining up when we look at the model data on the radar picture. I'll show you that in a second. In the meantime, we are going to be flirting with records, if not tying a record today. And that storm threat starts at 3 west of the I-39 corridor, then moving closer to Chicago, closing in on northwest Indiana at 9 p.m. So that gives you an idea of how that timing goes. And here's a tighter look at Futurecast, because as everybody crowds into Soldier Field, I think you could get wet getting there, waiting, kind of anticipating the show start. And this model is pretty aggressive in that 7 to 8 o'clock hour to really bring some explosive storms right across the city, right across northwest Indiana. It would be picking up on a lot of that heat energy to build those storms. Then it quickly moves out. In fact, by the time we get 9 o'clock, we're going to start clearing in the western suburbs. So the 9 o'clock hour in the city will start to be noticeably calmer, even 10 o'clock as well. So maybe she'll wait to get on stage until that line moves through. 78 degrees, Kankakee, 75 right now at O'Hare. We're already heating up, and we're going with 91. The old record set back in 1962. Winds will be gusty out of the south, but maybe turning a little southeasterly off the lake. So Lake Forest about 82 for you, cooler for Kenosha County as well, but 89 in DuPage and in Wheaton. We'll see 90 in LaGrange, 87 in Madison. Northwest Indiana's hot because of the winds out of the south. We won't see any lakefront cooling there. So that evening storm threat is with us. It's really heightened there for the city between about 6 and 8 p.m. Then northwest Indiana in the 9 o'clock hour. It's a windy and mild night even after the storms come through, 62. So what you'll notice with this frontal passage, we don't cool down tomorrow. It's not until the weekend when we see those significantly cooler days with highs in the 60s. So for Friday, we're still holding 88 degrees, and then we cool down for the weekend. So I know there are several shows coming up later this weekend at Soldier Field, and we should be dry and quiet both Saturday and even into Sunday evening. But today, Chris, we're going to watch that heat build dramatically and then brace for those fast-moving, gusty storms.
Indeed, also with the explosive development to go along with that. We don't want anybody caught out there on a highway, especially if you've got a motorcycle. Maybe you drove that to work today. We're going to have Cowboy Carter fans coming in, concert goers coming in, maybe people leaving early to get home before the heavy weather hits. So it's going to be a busy afternoon. Right now, let's go ahead and take a look. It's a busy midday as we get going. There's a lot of red on the map. Things are going on. You've got bridge inspections on I-80, moving road work on I-57, and getting late word of a brand new crash. Sounds like a big one on I-55. So daily bridge inspections today until 2:30 this afternoon. They'll probably wrap it up early. They have the last couple of days. Right lane is blocked today over the Des Plaines River. As we get into the core expressways, we see that we've got this pretty hefty delay from past Sibley to the Cal-Sag Bridge there before 127th. That looks like there might be some midday road work there, patchwork, and this is just starting to happen. This just coming in on northbound I-55, right past 355, getting word of a rollover semi crash. So something is definitely there. State police and fire and EMS have been dispatched northbound, backing up from 53. That's going to get worse. Also seeing some gaping going outbound or southbound on 55 starting at Lamont Road. So we'll keep an eye on that. Chris Habermill, CBS News Chicago.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. Well, next, a massive garage sale for White Sox fans where you can find some Sox swag this weekend.
And we are live with a sneak peek at the 9th annual May Festiversary coming back for Memorial Day weekend. This time, we've got a look at the music lineup. And one of those artists, Nikki O'Neill, giving us a preview right now.
Truth is distant sound. New day causes to red and bound. You lone traveler, you a new unraveler, the road awaits.
The first White Sox Charities Garage Sale is happening this weekend at Rate Field. Tomorrow and Saturday, fans can buy everything from clubhouse apparel to autographed baseballs. There will also be game-worn jerseys and promotional items. It is a cashless event. Tomorrow, the sale's open from 4:30 in the afternoon to 6:30, and on Saturday, it's open from 9 a.m. to 11. The proceeds of the event go to the Chicago-based organizations and nonprofits. Well, some 8th graders in Park Forest will be looking sharp for their graduation, thanks to a little help from some barbers in training.
Yeah, the kids will get a free haircut and a lesson on tying a formal tie to prepare for their ceremony. Always a good skill to know. Barbers from Larry's Barber College will give the male students from the Illinois school a fresh cut this morning. And then the 8th graders will also spend some time with some mentors. They'll also hear from some guest speakers. And all the young men will also get a gift box with a black tie to celebrate their journey to high school. Love this mentorship. I love that they're going to get to look good and feel good. That's a good step.
Really important. And like you said, that tying that tie, even though people don't wear them as much anymore, still a really important thing to know.
Yes, it's not always going to be a clip-on, you know?
Right.
Just in case.
You'd hope it isn't one after a certain age. Let's just say that, right?
Well, next at 9:30, we are talking about lawmakers scrambling to find more than $700 million to fund public transit here in Chicago and across the state.
We are getting an update from the state leaders who are trying to close that massive budget shortfall to avoid significant cuts. And 5 local nonprofits getting a big grant from White Sox Charities. One of the recipients of the team's new Diamond Impact Awards joins us live.
This is CBS News Chicago.
Good morning and great to have you here with us. I'm Adrena Sinclair.
And I'm Dana Kozlov. It is 9:30. Thanks so much for staying with us this Thursday. Let's get a live look outside right now. It is clear and calm, but we are tracking a significant chance for storms later today. And of course, it's going to be a hot one.
Oh, yeah. We might break a record, Mary Kay, which is kind of wild. You know, it's May 15th only.
Exactly. First 90-degree day for us of the year as well, Audrina and Dana. But 91 is our forecast high. 90s across the state expected. And our old record for today is 91, set back in 1962. So we can certainly beat that record. We will be heating up throughout the day. In the city, probably staying dry through 4 p.m. But then we're going to brace for storms to really target Chicago. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has much of Wisconsin, southwest lower Michigan, and the Chicago area at a level 3 on a scale of 1 to 5. So all hazards are possible with this, especially as we build the heat of the day. So starting at 3 p.m. west of the I-39 corridor, moving closer to the city between about 6 and 8 p.m., northwest Indiana 9 p.m., and then it's all out of here. But we could see damaging winds and large hail along the strongest storms. So first, we will lift the warm front, open the door for that 90-degree heat, and then we'll carefully monitor the progression of the cold front, because the cold front will activate the storms as it meets that 90-degree heat. This model really aggressive with that storm chance right at the 7 o'clock hour. We'll take a closer look and go hour by hour coming up in your first alert forecast.
All right, Mary Kay, thank you.
And breaking overnight, 3 people are now hurt after a shooting in Belmont-Cragen. Police say a woman and 2 men were sitting in a car near Menard and Schubert around 4:30 this morning. That's when 2 people walked up to the car, fired shots into the car and ran off. The 3 victims drove themselves to the hospital. Police say a 45-year-old man is in critical condition after he was hit several times. The other man and woman are expected to recover. No one is in custody.
And we are following breaking news overnight. A 52-year-old man now recovering in the hospital after he was shot in the East Side neighborhood around 11:30 last night, right near 106th and Mackinac. Police say the man in a crowd outside the Small World Bar and Grill when someone walked out of an alley, pulled a gun and shot the man, and that shooter got away.
This morning, there's new charges for the man accused of driving onto a golf course and hitting a 70-year-old golfer. It happened Monday at the Billy Caldwell Golf Course. Torrey Gardner is now charged with aggravated battery to a senior citizen and unlawful use of a weapon. The man who was hit is still in the ICU. And a vigil is being held tonight for a 30-year-old woman whose remains were found years after she went missing. Lisa Wright was reported missing in Gary in 2021. In March, a body was found in a garage on Jefferson Street in Gary and later confirmed to be Wright. The vigil tonight will be held at the community gazebo at Lake George. That's on Old Ridge Road in Hobart, Indiana. It starts at 7:30. Her death is still under investigation, so anyone with information should call police.
And we have an update on the families who reached out to us saying they paid for headstones for their loved ones, but they never received them. Well, now that headstone company they bought them from has filed for bankruptcy. Now, we started looking into gas dock monuments, after multiple families told us it never delivered the headstones they paid for. Well, now a letter from Illinois Attorney General encouraging people who have a financial claim against this company to contact the bankruptcy court. Last August, we learned the company went out of business.
Well, with the potential of drastic service cuts looming to transit agencies, state leaders say they are on track to get a deal done before the so-called fiscal cliff would force those cuts. In a press conference, state leaders say the Regional Transit Authority, which oversees the CTA, Metra, and PACE suburban buses, needs to shore up $770 million by the end of the month. They need to get that money, or some of those agencies could face a 40% reduction in service. Now, state leaders point to a decline in ridership expedited by the pandemic as to why the agency is facing this fiscal cliff. Those leaders introduced legislation and so far have held 8 hearings, which include 35 hours of testimony, getting them, they say, close to a deal.
There will be no funding without reform. We do not want people to feel anxiety as they're going to their jobs, their school, their hospital over the summer and going into the fall about how that's going to look for them and their kids and their grandkids in the future.
We also heard from train conductors and bus drivers who say there would be a ripple effect on the economy if there are service cuts. If a deal isn't done by May 31st, changes in service, those cuts would begin at the beginning of fiscal year 2026.
All right, heads up here. There are a total of 11 new speed cameras across Chicago, and they'll soon be ticketing you if you're speeding. 7 new cameras were activated on the 1st of the month. So starting June 15th, drivers caught going between 6 and 10 miles per hour over the speed limit will get $35 tickets. The tickets will be $100 for people going 11 miles per hour or more over. And then starting today, 4 more speed cameras will begin issuing warnings to speeders, with tickets going out starting June 30th.
Well, today the Chicago Board of Education is hosting its first community gathering to help find the next Chicago Public Schools CEO. In December, the board voted to fire embattled CPS CEO Pedro Martinez. Now the board is using community gatherings, focus groups, and a survey to get people's input during the search. Today's gathering will begin at 6:30 at Steinmetz College Prep. We also have a list of all the community meetings and the survey on our website, CBS News Chicago.
A new community wellness hub opens today in Inglewood. It's called the Healing House, and it offers mental health services, wellness resources, and counseling. The building was developed by We Grow Chicago, and it's backed by a $100,000 investment from the Chicago Bears and Bears Care. A grand opening ceremony starts at 11:30 this morning. It's on Honore Street near 64th.
Well, still ahead, 5 local organizations are getting a massive check.
Yeah, it's all thanks to the White Sox nonprofit arm. We have a live interview with one of the recipients as they already put that money to work.
And we are back with a preview of May's Festiversary, an annual event full of food, music, and entertainment for everyone.
And we're already building the heat. 75 degrees right now at O'Hare with full sunshine. We are forecasting record heat once this warm front moves through. The forecast is 91. That's the record for this day, set back in 1962. But after we hit that heat, here comes the cold front, and that's going to spark storm chances, especially this evening. I will time those out in your First Alert forecast.
Well, last year, the White Sox's nonprofit organization, Chicago White Sox Charities, launched a new initiative to support local groups doing good in the community. Organizations were able to apply for one-time grants of $125,000 through the Diamond Impact Awards, and now the winners have been revealed. So here's a look at that group. Brightpoint, Mobile Care Chicago, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Chicago, the National Museum of Mexican Art, and Chicago Children's Advocacy Center. And joining us now are Christine O'Reilly, White Sox Charities Executive Director, and one of the grant recipients, Vanessa Sanchez, with the National Museum of Mexican Art. Congratulations. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having us.
So, Christine, I know we had you on the show back in November, December to talk about this. It was a brand new initiative, and you said you don't even know how many awards or grants are going to be given out. How did you narrow it down to 5, and how difficult was that decision making?
It was such a challenge. You know, we celebrate the 125th anniversary of the White Sox organization this year, and that's where we came up with the $125,000 grants. And, you know, thanks to your help and having us out to talk about it, we had over 200 applicants, you know, which kind of blew our minds. We had no idea.
There's a lot of need right now, too.
There is, and it also shows the amazing philanthropic support that is out there in our Chicago community. It was a very rigorous process for our potential grantees, very thorough, very competitive, but we're just so thrilled with the 5 organizations that we landed on.
Yeah, and again, you weren't even sure if it would be 5, but here we are.
Well, and how crazy, right? $125,000 for the 125th year, and it's also the 20th anniversary of the 05 World Series championship.
Numerologists would be all over the place with this one, you know, they'd be analyzing this to death.
Yes.
Okay, Vanessa, you again are with the National Museum of Mexican Art. So tell me how important this $125,000 grant will be to the museum, and how will you use that money?
Yeah, the museum is extremely grateful for this award. The museum has been on a journey of developing a fire station in the Little Village community, and so this funding will help support that effort in building that fire station for our youth program called Yollocalli Arts Reach. We serve youth ages 14 to 24 years old through arts and digital media, helping them through mentorship and civic engagement, and helping them just become the next new leaders of Chicago.
Was there any one big selling point, if you will, that you used to argue or make a case for why you really deserved to receive this grant?
I think it was the development of our new building, because now we'll be serving an additional 200, 250 youth on both sides of Little Village. And I also think it was just our age range for the young people. We serve 14 to 24. So we're helping those 18 to 24-year-olds continue on their journey of career pathways and their next steps in their lives.
And without going down this hole, right now, you know, funding to so many entities in general, federal funding in particular, is really in question. So I would imagine with that hanging over, you know, the museum's head, this is even more helpful right now.
Yeah, again, this has been a real highlight. When we learned about receiving the award, I mean, it was just a magical moment, a real emotional moment for us.
That's wonderful. Okay, Christine, so what next? And will we see something like this again next year?
We're in discussion on how we can continue some level of diamond impact in the community through our grant giving. I think what comes next is we're so excited. We have follow-up calls and thinking about, like, specific to the Yollocalli Arts Reach program, you know, how can we get the youth involved? Is there something music that we can do with our players? What's it going to look like? You know, they have this amazing DJ booth that's going to be in the Yollocalli Fire Station that we can't wait to get our hands and minds around. So I think I just love love that it's the funding, but it's the collaboration with Vanessa and her amazing team. And it really, you know, brings the White Sox deeper into the community, which is so special to us.
Yeah, maybe we'll see you guys at the ballpark too.
Absolutely.
Oh,
you will.
Oh, definitely.
All right. Well, Christine, Vanessa, thanks so much. Congratulations once again. We want to thank you both for being here, and we look forward to hearing what might be next on the horizon for White Sox Charities.
Thank you.
And also for the museum.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thanks, Dana.
All right, let's toss it over to Mary Kay now with a look at what might be on the horizon for us weather-wise.
Ooh, big heat, Dana. We are forecasting record heat. 90s will be the story across much of our state. So super hot, targeting Chicago once that warm front lifts through as we work through the day. Record high today is 91, set back in 1962, and that's what we're forecasting. Our storm threat timing 3 p.m., 9 p.m. Thinking the 3 o'clock hour, it's more along the I-39 corridor. Then those storms target Chicago heading into this evening and finally close in on northwest Indiana in the 9 o'clock hour. All hazards in play for this. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has expanded this area of a level 3 threat in orange, including much of Chicago, all of northwest Indiana as well, and western Michigan, and much of Wisconsin too. So all hazards are in play here, especially as we get into large hail and damaging winds. The hail could be the size of golf balls with the strongest storms, and individual wind gusts could be 70 to even 80 miles per hour. Can't rule out an isolated tornado. I think the flood threat is lowest on the scale because of the fast forward speed that we expect from these storms. So that heat is just going to help fuel these storms as they move into the Chicago area, bringing us a hazardous evening, but then they quickly move out. In fact, as we look hour by hour here, you can see how 4 o'clock we start bringing storms closer to the western suburbs, but by 10 o'clock perhaps they're out of the city. So when we look at Futurecast here, this model very aggressive, showing the building storms in the western suburbs, targeting the city in that 7 o'clock time frame, and really focusing on the lakefront there through 8 o'clock as well, and then into northwest Indiana through 9 o'clock tonight. And then by 10 o'clock, I think Chicago skies will be clear. So it's fast-moving storms, but again, they could be intense. We're already at 80 degrees in Joliet, so that heat is coming quickly on those southerly winds. So we have the weather alert posted for those severe chances today after the extreme heat. Tomorrow is still a hot one, but over the weekend, temperatures drop dramatically. Conditions quiet down. We're dry Saturday and Sunday with highs only in the 60s. So let's toss it over to Chris Habermill now in the First Alert Traffic Center. Chris, this heat could be record levels, and you know what that does to any storm chances. It just acts like a big push of fuel for them.
Indeed, and on top of that, when you're stuck in traffic, it is miserable, and we've got the trifecta of trouble right now. Big problems on the map. So let's go to that real quick. I will show you that there's lots of red out there. We've got ourselves a big semi-crash, bridge inspections, midday road work. Let's center up on this. This is the biggest thing going. It's going to be with us for at least a couple of hours. Overturned semi, all lanes blocked, northbound 55 past the Veterans Tollway there. It's backed up solid from Weber Road. We've got Gapers solid outbound from back at Cass. The key is going to be getting to Lamont Road. All 3 driving lanes are blocked. Only the right shoulder is going to get by. They have to offload 40,000 pounds of dry food product from this semi. So the workarounds here, if you're on 355 south off at Boughton Road, east over to Lamont, drop south, and you can get past the wreck, get on downstream, or 135th or 127th coming in from, let's say, Romeoville, link up with Archer to State Street, which becomes Lamont Road, and you can get to I-55 that way. It's going to be with us for quite a while. What a mess. Chris Habermill, CBS News, Chicago.
Thanks so much, Chris. Appreciate it. Well, we are jump-starting your morning with a preview of May Festiversary. It's an annual fest returning to the Ravenswood Corridor in its Memorial Day weekend.
That's right. There's food, there's beer, there's entertainment, and more. And this hour, we are focused a little bit more on the music. However, joining us now are Hagen Dost, co-owner of Dovetail Brewery, one of the breweries out there, and Nikki O'Neill, one of the musicians who will be performing in a little over a week. So, Nikki, let's start with you. You're going to perform for us in a bit. We saw a little bit earlier, but first, tell us about your music and how you got involved with this fest and maybe how you're getting ready as well.
So yeah, I'm Nikki O'Neill, and I'm going to be playing here with my 5-piece band at the Secret Stage at Mayfestiversary on May 24th at 2 p.m. Secret Stage is, I guess, it's the alley on the dock. So, and I got in touch. I basically reached out to Brett, and we're super excited to play. I just released an album, Stories I Only Tell My Friends, and the music is soul rock, like Americana. So there's influences of gospel, old-timey blues, but also, yeah, soul rock and kind of energetic numbers. And so, yeah, I'm a singer, songwriter. All the songs are written by me, and I also play lead and rhythm guitar, so there'll be a little bit of that too.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome, love that. Look forward to hearing a little bit of you singing and performing. But Hagen, tell us more about the music lineup. I mean, I love that you have a secret stage in the alley. That's so Chicago.
It is, yeah. We actually have 2 stages. So we got the main stage that's going to be right behind me on Belle Plaine, and we got our secret stage, which, yes, it's a really cool spot to see bands in a more intimate setting. So, and it's always a ton of fun. And we also have some great food options. Bad Johnny is here, making some of the best pizza in Chicago, if not the world. Yeah, and we've got our special Maibach for the fest too, that we brew only for the fest, and that you can only get here at the brewery and during the fest.
That is so important as well. I know Dovetail and Beguile, the 2 breweries who are sponsoring this, and I know that neighborhood folks and beyond love the beers that you guys brew. Thanks so much to both of you, but now let's listen to Nikki.
Thank you.
Thank you. TV, open the blinds, invite the light in. Start making tea in the kitchen, butter on bread, paper and red. The first bird greets the sun and I listen. Candy apple morning, I'm struck and I'm glowing. Candy apple morning, you got me rolling. I look outside, they're wiping down tables. A lady is sweeping the sidewalk down by the bar. Forgotten guitar with mother of pearl on the headstock. Candy apple morning.
Welcome back, everyone. Here's a look at the stories that we are keeping an eye on today.
Chicago police say they now have 2 people of interest in custody in the shooting of that 4-year-old boy, a story we've been following all morning long. That little 4-year-old was hit in the back and is in critical condition, being treated right now at Stroger Hospital. Police tell us the boy was shot while riding in a minivan in McKinley Park, and you're seeing that minivan here at the scene. This was last night around 7 on Ashland near the Stevenson.
The father of Sonia Massey joined state lawmakers this morning to urge the Illinois General Assembly to pass a new bill requiring a police officer's conduct records to be shared before they're hired in Illinois. Last year, a former sheriff's deputy shot and killed Massey while responding to her 911 call. His questionable conduct was well documented by other police agencies before he was hired by Sangamon County.
And we are going to see some big time heat, 90-degree temperatures. Storm threat is at a level 3 on a scale of 1 to 5. So through noon, we're dry, but then as we get into this evening, storms fire and target Chicago, especially between about 7 and 8 o'clock tonight. We will see those storms intensify. Then they move to northwest Indiana, and by 10 o'clock tonight, everything clears out of the picture. So I really think these could be fast-moving, strong to severe thunderstorms later today. That's why we have the weather alert posted for the extreme heat and then the storm chances. Audrina, Dana.
Mary Kay, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us here on the News at 9. Your local news continues on our digital streaming network, CBS News Chicago.
Yeah, we always appreciate you being with us throughout the day. You can continue watching the shows that Dana was talking about on Paramount Plus, Pluto TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Have a great one, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.